Let me get in. Ooh, my power's back on. Nice. Dear Gregory, I love Katie, but not as much as Ben. Is it really just because I see her once a month and barely talk to her on the phone? She talks about marrying me, and she's serious. What if I just want to marry a guy? What if, right now, I just want to date Ben and not Katie too? Or even if I just wanted another girl even, though I don't. I mean, I care for her so much. I love her. She's just always so heavy with the, I love you and I'll be with you forevers. I can't ever remember feeling careless when I'm with her. Or should I say carefree? I'm so confused about everything. All of a sudden, I don't really want to be with Katie, and I'm gonna pretend to be Christian now, except I'm actually considering it for real. I just feel so awful right now. Everything about me is falling apart, and I can't find anyone to talk to. Ben is busy. Tom's at his cousin's. Brandon's in a different house with a new phone number I don't have. Chris is sleeping over at Jay's house because Jay's in town for a little while and Jay won't answer the phone. I can't write poetry anymore. My life is all about Ben, even though he's going to end up off in some military college in the end. So, I guess even though everything seems to be going to the benefit of an unreal future right now, Ben is for the benefit of this, the present. I would say he's the only thing about me right now I'm sure of. But what if he doesn't really love me? What if he's the same to me as I am to Katie? I don't like Christians. They're all stuck up. Wait, scratch that. I meant to write, I hate Christians, at least the ones that are stuck up. I just can't think. I wouldn't even be changing faith because I believed in it. I'm considering it because I need a loving, warm community that will accept me and tell me I'll be okay. Tom is the only one who's ever said it will all be okay, but he only said it because I asked him to promise me it would be. Now that whole community is trying to keep me down and away unless I join them. I'm Wendy. Positive Peter Pan is going to save her before she has to sign with Captain Hook. All her friends are all ready to sign it, and it's up to her, all on her own, in her own beliefs. I'm not as brave as Wendy, though. She walked the plank, even without her friends, even with the pirates yelling in her ear. She'd die. But you know what? She was right. This is so different, though. Everyone's so happy, and I'm miserable. I believe in the God and Goddess, and I think Jesus either had a birth... And I think Jesus either had a birth or mental defect when Mary got raped and lied out of shame, or was too drunk to realize that the water he was on was frozen. That was tactless and driven by hurt and anger. This sucks. I can't even talk to anyone about this. Chris and Brandon are swayed by their churches and strong faith. Ben would just feel uncomfortable and not even try to comfort me. And Tom doesn't honestly care anymore, it seems. I can't talk to other girls. Don't ask why. Because I don't know. And trying to figure it out right now would just make everything suck more. Besides, what will my mom say if I become Christian? She'll want to know why, and my brother John feels like I do about them, yet with even more unfair distance. I'm just really worried that if I become Christian, and not just that I'll be stuck up too, or whatever, I'm deathly afraid of finding that just maybe they're honestly right. Or even if I don't find out that being Christian, I'll like it. Greta, December 28th, 2001. So we had a couple very emotional sentences that caused me to suck at writing. But what I'm trying to say is that I think Jesus was a man, and that I don't think there was a holy conception. So the only logical explanations I can think of was that, like, maybe Mary lied and said that, you know, she got impregnated by God, because back in the olden times, if you were raped, a lot of times you'd be, like, stoned to death or sold to your rapist or forced to marry them. And I think it would be fairly logical in that situation, if you were terrified of having that happen to you, that you might try to come up with literally any story you could. And that I think that anyone that would actually believe they are the son of God when they are just a human, would have some kind of, like, mental disorder, whether it's a mental illness or something actually like a birth defect wrong with their ability to process things. And then, yeah, the whole, like, Jesus didn't walk on water. Maybe it was frozen and he was just too drunk to realize it on that water. I had some pretty strong beliefs when I was very young. And as I've gotten older, I feel I have gotten more tolerant. And now I just think that I don't care. I have friends that are Christian, and I don't think it's because they're weak-willed, and I don't think it's because they're dumb. I think that it's actually also a certain level of, like, not caring and just wanting to believe what you want to believe. And, I mean, you have a whole church telling you you're right, so why would you think you're wrong? Whatever. It doesn't affect me, except for, I guess, legislation about, like, we're not getting into politics. We're getting into diary entries. So, I've touched Ben's penis. Now I'm, like, double in love with him so much that I don't think I feel that way about Katie anymore. At least not as intensely as I do about Ben. Which that's gonna happen whenever you fool around with someone usually. Back on. I mean, your body's already releasing a million hormones when you're going through puberty, but then the additional hormones that get released, that, like, bonding hormones that come from orgasm, are freaking intense. So you can have casual sex and, like, one night stands, etc., but probably not when you are a teenager, just because your impulse control isn't fully developed. So once you're older and you're like, oh, I'm having these crazy weird emotions, it's hard enough to be like, it's just hormones, ignore them, bitch, don't be a crazy bitch. But when you're a teenager, you're like, I have these crazy emotions, it's love! So watch out for that. It's kind of the worst. Not being Christian in a largely Christian school is incredibly isolating and horribly lonely. I'm really not surprised by this entry. I mean, of course, I knew it happened, so how could I be surprised? But, you know, I mean, Jay had already told me he wouldn't date me because he was Christian back in 8th grade. And then Brandon and Chris started distancing themselves, as well as Krista. And then Katie and Ben went to the same church. And I just was all alone in the corner. Like, I didn't have church lock-ins. I didn't have youth group. I didn't get to go to camps. And I was already so unpopular. The friends I did have, I wanted to be close with. And this seemed like the only way to do it, because it just continued to be obviously, like, I was the outsider, I was the exception, and they were making an exception for me, and not really. You can find acceptance. Maybe not where you are stuck going to high school because you are there, because your parents chose to live where they live, probably for job reasons, and you kind of have to go to public school unless your parents have, like, the buku monies to get you to go to a private one, or to stay home and homeschool you, and those aren't necessarily going to actually be better options for you. But when the time comes for you to be done with high school and go on to college, you can pick any number of colleges, and depending on what state you end up in and what type of college, university, or trade school situation you pick, it will have a cast of people, I guarantee you, if you do your research, that will be much more accepting and like-minded. Well, I will say, less than finding like-minded people, it is important to find tolerant people with open minds. Anyway, thank you for watching Dear Teen Diary. Like, subscribe, and last video, next video, whenever it's done, and I'll see you around. Bye.